The Redhead Murders is a name used to refer to a series of mostly unsolved homicides of red-headed females in the United States between October 1978 and 1992, and whose bodies were dumped near major highways. The murders, believed to be related, have occurred in states including Tennessee, Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. The victims, many remaining unidentified for years, were usually women with reddish hair, whose bodies were abandoned along major highways in the United States. Officials believe that the women were likely hitchhiking or may have engaged in prostitution. Authorities are unsure how many people were responsible for these murders, if they were all performed by the same perpetrator, and how many victims there have been. The exact number of victims in the Redhead Murders case is still a matter of speculation. However, it is believed that there are at least 6 confirmed victims, whose deaths are linked by their distinct hair color and other similarities. It is believed that most of the victims remained unidentified for several years due to their estrangement from family members or from not being native to the states in which they were found. Many were not identified until the 21st century, when more advanced methods of identification, like DNA, were available. In September of 1984, the body of a woman later identified as 28-year-old Lisa Nichols from West Virginia was found near West Memphis, Arkansas. Lisa Nichols may have been killed after leaving a truck stop along the highway and may have attempted to hitchhike. On January 1, 1985, the bound body of a woman, later identified as 21-year-old Tina Farmer from Indiana, was found near Jellicoe, Tennessee. She was Caucasian with shoulder-length curly red hair and green eyes. She was found clothed and wrapped in a blanket, which was later found to have seminal fluid on it. She was last seen in Indianapolis, accompanied by a trucker said to be headed to Kentucky. In 2019, DNA evidence identified convicted kidnapper Jerry Leon Johns as the man who killed Tina Farmer in December 1984. Jerry Johns died in prison in 2015. On April 3, 1985, the skeletonized partial remains of a young girl, later identified as 15-year-old Tracy Sue Walker of Lafayette, Indiana, were discovered near Jellicoe, Tennessee. Tracy Walker was a frequent runaway and was last seen at a mall with a friend in 1978. On March 31, 1985, the skeletonized body of a red-haired female, later identified as 23-year-old Michelle Inman of Nashville, Tennessee, was found in Pleasant View, Tennessee. On April 1, 1985, the body of a woman later identified as Epsie Pilgrim of North Carolina was found in a large white Admiral refrigerator in Gray, Kentucky. She died by suffocation. There were reports that the victim may have been soliciting a ride to North Carolina over CB radio. In addition to the 6 victims attributed to the Redhead murders, here are a few others that authorities suspect may also be related. Priscilla Ann Blevins was a 27-year-old woman from Charlotte, North Carolina, whose skeletal remains were found along Interstate 40 in Waynesville, North Carolina on March 29, 1985. On May 25, 1981, law enforcement recovered the body of a woman later identified as 32-year-old Karen Nippers near Dixon, Missouri. She had suffered trauma to the face and was strangled with pantyhose. On February 13, 1983, the naked body of a white female with auburn hair was found near Littleton, West Virginia. Night, 22-year-old Lori Pinnell's body was found on January 24, 1985, in Olive Branch, Mississippi. She had been strangled with a ligature and possibly sexually assaulted. On April 14, 1985, the body of a young white female, later identified as 17-year-old Elizabeth Lamott of New Hampshire, was found in Greenville, Tennessee. She was determined to have been killed by severe blunt force trauma and possibly a stab wound, and her body was in an advanced state of decomposition. Roane County Jane Doe, later identified as Betty Lou Wisley of Knox County, was found on August 29, 1987 in Roane County, Tennessee. She was estimated to be between 35 and 50 and had naturally brown hair, dyed reddish. Authorities determined that the body had been burned, likely deliberately to hinder identification efforts. 19-year-old Stacy Lynn Chahorski was found strangled to death in Rising Fawn, Georgia, in late 1988. Chahorski had informed her mother that she was planning to hitch rides from her current location to her home state of Michigan. She had been strangled and sexually assaulted. She also had auburn shoulder-length hair with frosted ends. On September 6, 2022, Chahorski's killer was identified as trucker and stunt driver Henry Wise, who would have been 34 at the time of her murder. He worked for the Western Carolina Trucking Company and commonly drove through Tennessee and Alabama. Wise burned to death in a car accident at Myrtle Beach Speedway in South Carolina in 1999. Benton County Jane Doe, later identified as 28-year-old Donna Nelton, was a woman who was found murdered on May 7, 1990 in Rogers, Arkansas. She had been shot and set on fire. Investigators believe the victim may have also been run over with a vehicle to make identification more difficult. Thank you for watching. What do you think? Were the crimes committed by the same perpetrator or same couple of perpetrators? Do you think they are all related? If you like content like this, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel.